Hi. So, I haven't got a clue what it is I thought I still needed to talk about narcissism. But it did occur to me that maybe I hadn't really talked as much about, sort of, you know, okay, like most people, I have a very crude, basically uninformed view of psychology. I've never taken a psychology class, but I have encountered it in literature courses and criticism courses, critical theory courses, philosophy, and things of that nature. So, I've read some of people like William James, and, I've read some of people like Pinker and other people. And at one point or another, I've probably read my way through at least part of a intro to psychology textbook, although I'm not sure if I have or not. Have had a tendency in the past to occasionally read my way through textbooks of courses that I don't ever take myself. Like, I've never taken any biology course of any kind, but I know a little bit about biology from other sources, having not actually taken a course. So I'm not immediately sure uh, how much actual formal learning I have in psychology, except I can say this: not much. Not much. So, but like everybody else, I've got a crude, understanding, like, narcissism, narcissists, that guy, that Greek guy who looked in the pool and fell in love with his own reflection. And I guess maybe that's where, my thinking about it begins and ends, unfortunately, because I don't have, that knowledge that would ground how that looks or works in a daily level in somebody who is narcissistic versus somebody who is not. For instance, you know, we all frame our world around ourselves. We have to. I live in this place at this time. I am here at this place at this time. I am doing this thing, whatever it may happen to be. And because of that, the world that I am cognizant of, the world I'm aware of, is me and my relatively immediate surroundings. You know, now my view of what a narcissist would be is someone who thinks that somehow this little spot of time that they're in is somehow the most important ever. No, no. I mean, I don't believe that about myself. I don't believe that about my experiences. You know, even within the city that I live in, this is almost certainly not the quote place to be. Um, I'm in a Starbucks and it is 8:06 p.m. on a Friday, and I'm the only one here other than a couple of baristas. So, yeah, this is certainly not the place to be. And, this discussion that I'm having about narcissism is certainly not, the most important discussion going on right now, even in my area. In fact, debatably, it's not even the most important thing going on in this coffee shop at the moment. I mean, at least certainly, to the three baristas that are here, this is, just some irrelevant, crazy thing that some person is doing off on the other side of the store. So, that none of that strikes me as the way a narcissist would think about this. Okay, now, okay, but then of course I am doing this YouTube channel thing, and on some level I'm seeking views and trying to share my worldview and somehow think my worldview is worth sharing. Mm, okay, maybe to some extent. Same thing with, in the back in the day when I wrote a lot of poetry, or, you know, um, like the novel that I'm working on, or various other kind of uh, expressive endeavors that I might have. It's kind of hard to do those things if you don't have some belief that in some way you've got something you could impart. No. Am I going to reinvent the podcast? Hardly. Am I going to reinvent the novel? No. And poetry? No, definitely not. I mean, my poetry is probably an eclectic acquired taste, you know, but it is what it is. I am who I am. I mean, I do try to be reflexive and understand who I am and step back and, see where I'm coming from and try to keep things in perspective. But, like I said, our worldview must revolve around ourselves. It's kind of impossible not to. But think about things like, the things that we do. What do I do for a living? What I do for a living is relatively trivial. I work with disabled individuals and I participate in their lives and help them organize their daily lives. This is a job that before I got involved in it, I had no idea even existed. Now, in the abstract, if you'd said there were people who work with disabled people, I'd say, okay, sure, that makes sense. But that the job works the way my job works, I would not have had a clue. And again, once I described to you how my job works, you'll probably say, oh, sure, that makes complete sense. But unless you had been aware of it or had a disabled individual in your life, you probably never gave it a second's thought. Because in the larger view of what makes a city work or what makes an economic system work or whatnot, this industry is a relatively minor blip. And the same is true for lots and lots and lots of other things. For me, for instance, I really enjoy coming to a place like Starbucks, obviously. There are other people who have never stepped foot in one. I'm willing to pay $3, $4, $5, maybe more for a coffee or a caffeinated beverage. There are other people who don't partake in caffeine whatsoever or don't like coffee at all, or if they do like coffee, they make it at home. I never make coffee at home. I always buy it out. Am I right? Are they right? No. They spend their time and their money the way they choose. I spend my time and my money the way I choose. And again, my crude understanding, this is not the way a narcissist thinks. Again, with things like, politics and that kind of thing. Yeah, sure. I do think that my politics are very reasonable. I do think that our country would be a better place if more people agreed with my politics than disagreed. Of course I do. But I would challenge you to find anybody, anywhere, who doesn't think that about their political position, whatever it happens to be. Now, the difference to me between someone who is narcissistic and someone who isn't is I fully accept the ballot box. I fully accept the democratic process that we go and we vote for representatives, and whoever representative wins, the views that representative holds and the views that representative represents gain ascendancy over the other views. So if I happen to be in the minority, that's okay. If I happen to be the majority, that's okay too. That's the way it works. For instance, take an issue that's not really super burning for most people these days, although there are some who care strongly about it, legalization of marijuana. I don't personally enjoy marijuana. Not my thing. I've smoked, don't like it, probably never will touch it again. It's not currently legal where I'm at, but if I enjoyed it, I would probably, like a lot of people, indulge in it at least and at times. But I don't enjoy it, I don't indulge in it, and I'm fine with that. But I'm also fine with other people who do indulge in it. That's okay. And I recognize fully that the day will come when marijuana will be legal for recreational use all over the country. I personally am not sure that that is a good decision. However, I should point out that since I don't personally partake, I probably would never really bother to express a public opinion or give an argument for why I'm not sure it's a great idea. It's just not something that I'm heavily invested in. Now, it strikes me that if I were, again, a narcissist, I would want to say that my point of view is correct and we all should abide by it, that nobody should enjoy pot. I don't care that people enjoy it. Some people need that kind of escape. Some people need that kind of, enjoyment in life. Others don't. I drink coffee. I occasionally indulge in alcohol. I enjoy sleep quite a lot. So we all have our things that we enjoy, and I don't know. Maybe I'm pushing it too far. Maybe I'm seeing absolute narcissism or something to that effect. Being narcissistic doesn't necessarily mean that you are so far gone in it that you actually think every single thing you do is the right way everyone should be at all times. Maybe that's where I'm sort of getting hung up here. Maybe it's a sense of focus or degree or something. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know this, that I do have a lot of empathy. I don't belong to many of the minorities in this country who have, been oppressed and are seeking better representation, and yet I support those struggles for the most part. Now, if you call me on it, maybe there's one somewhere or another that I'm not, necessarily too fond of. But all of the big ones, gender, sexuality, race, I'm on board with removing many of those oppressive barriers and making a more equitable and equal state. So, I don't know. Narcissist? I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm done with this topic for now. Going to move on to something else. I do want to get back to Foss. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to read him any since the last time I did a podcast on him, or whatever this is, on him. So, I'll get back to it, hopefully soon. So, have a good day. Like, comment, all that crap if you want to.